This video is the first part of a response to Rationality Rules. Rationality Rules is a YouTube atheist who has claimed that he has debunked the argument from miracles. So has he? The link to the full playlist is in the description, but let's get this video going. So to start off, I just want to define what a miracle is. My favorite definition comes from C.S. Lewis, who said that, quote, I use the word miracle to mean an interference with nature by supernatural power. C.S. Lewis also says that, quote, it is therefore inaccurate to define a miracle as something that breaks the laws of nature. If God creates a miraculous spermatozoon in the body of a virgin, it does not proceed to break any laws. Dr. Peter Kreeft and Friar Ronald Kelly also lay down a great syllogism for the argument for miracles. A miracle is an event whose only adequate explanation is the extraordinary and direct intervention of God. There are numerous well-attested miracles. Therefore, there are numerous events whose only adequate explanation is the extraordinary and direct intervention of God. Therefore, God exists. So with that out of the way, let's take a look at his argument against the argument for miracles.
So the first flaw to reveal, in my not so humble opinion, is that the vast majority of miracles wouldn't prove the existence of God even if they were indeed true. Or in other words, they don't support theism. For example, even if it were unimpeachably true that a man called Jesus resurrected, this would not, in the slightest, prove that the universe had a creator. Nor would it prove that Jesus turned water into wine, that he healed the blind, that he walked on water, or that he was born of a virgin. All it would prove is that a man called Jesus respawned, and that he had terrible lag because it took him 3 days.
I'm willing to agree with Stephen here that just because Jesus rose from the dead, it doesn't mean that necessarily he turned water to wine, healed the blind, walked on water, or was born of a virgin. However, if Jesus did rise from the dead, I think there are a few clear implications. First, if Jesus was raised from the dead because of an action by a supernatural power, that would prove that there is, in fact, a supernatural power. And if this power has the ability to raise someone from the dead, it's clear that we are dealing with a power much higher than us or anything that is a part of the universe. Second, if Jesus was raised from the dead because of the actions of a supernatural power, it puts a lot of credibility to his teachings. This is because if Jesus, a man who claimed equality with God, was raised from the dead by a supernatural power, God, then if anyone has the stamp of approval from God, it would have to be him. God wouldn't raise someone from the dead who was promoting false teachings.
Likewise, even if it was unimpeachably proven that Peter Link was indeed saved by a divine intervention, it would not logically follow that a man called Jesus resurrected. Nor would it logically follow that a man called Muhammad split the moon, or that a god called Zeus defeated Kronos. This just isn't how logic works.
With this idea, I'm completely on the same page with Stephen. This is Logic 101.
But unfortunately, most proponents of miracles implicitly do think that this is how logic works.
No, most proponents of miracles don't believe that's how miracles work. Stephen just makes a claim here and doesn't back it up with any sort of evidence. If you're going to make a claim like Stephen does, you have to provide evidence. Weren't atheists the one who were always talking about the burden of proof?
And to demonstrate this, here's but one example from Frank Turek.
And if it is true that that Jesus really did come and say and do the things that the New Testament writer said he did, then whatever he teaches is true, because if he rose from the dead, he was God. If he taught that there will be an intervention, then there will be. That's the argument. I don't have time to support it.
I bet you don't.
So there's a few things I want to say about this Turek clip. First, I think that Stephen chose an unfair clip, because if you pay attention at the end, Turek says, I don't have enough time to support this. I wanted to find this clip in its context, but I got the classic YouTube video unavailable screen. But I think it's safe to assume that Turek was in some sort of debate where he didn't have time to explain his whole argument. So to expand on Turek's argument, the one he would have made if he had the time to make it, if the New Testament accurately records what Christ did and say, it's clear that Jesus believed that he was God. This can be seen from Matthew 9 and Mark 2, where Jesus forgives sins, something that only God could do in a Jewish culture. We can see further that Jesus was God from the passages where he says that he and the Father were one, and when Thomas calls Jesus, my Lord and my God, and Jesus doesn't correct him. So if Jesus was raised from the dead, then it would be a confirmation of his message by God, because it would be illogical for the Creator to raise someone from the dead who was spreading false teachings. So if Jesus was God, then it makes sense that whatever he said is true and the word of God.
Anyhow, to reiterate, even if true, the vast majority of miracles wouldn't prove the existence of a God, let alone the existence of a very specific interpretation of a very specific God.
Yes, one miracle doesn't prove that a specific religious belief is true. The only exception to this is the resurrection, because the truth of Christianity is based on the fact that Jesus rose from the dead. If Jesus did not rise from the dead, Christianity is false. But the fact that if a miracle has occurred, it shows that there is a supernatural power. It's a good thing we have a brain so we can figure out who this power is. So that's part one of my response to rationality rules. I just want to say so far, he's definitely come nowhere close to debunking the argument for miracles. I'm Zach Seckler. This is Adherent Apologetics. This is also my mildly sick voice, but I really want to make this video. So I'll see you next time.